Before we kick things off, I've got 2 quick things for you. First, do you want to push real innovation and help spark the uncomfortable but necessary conversations in the concrete industry? Support this show. When you donate, we list you as a producer of the episode because you're literally making these conversations happen. Go to concretelogicpodcast.com/donate and back the show today. Second, for a limited time, you can get free access to the Concrete Logic Academy. Take your first class on us, earn a PDH credit, and stick around for the networking and resources you won't find anywhere else in the industry. Claim your free trial now at concretelogicpodcast.com/academy. All right, let's get into today's episode.
What's the most used man-made material on Earth? I'll give you the answer. Concrete. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. Have you ever stopped to think about the sidewalks, driveways, bridges, or the buildings around you? They're all made from concrete. So why don't we discuss it more? In each episode of Concrete Logic, we'll explore a unique concrete-related topic with the help of industry professionals shaping the trade's future. We'll talk with suppliers, contractors, architects, engineers, specialists, and even proponents of competing materials. We'll get their views on concrete and their visions for its future. So get ready to mix things up with Concrete Logic, where we turn the spotlight on the material that's everywhere but often overlooked. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. And now, here's your host, Seth Tandit.
And welcome to another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. And today I am running solo, very similar to what I did in episode 126. So if you didn't listen to that episode, excuse me, I broke down the 2011 report on PLC. It's actually, if you're on YouTube, I am sharing my screen here. But it's this report here. It's the state-of-the-art report on the use of limestone in cements at levels of up to 15%. And I went through that and just went through and shared what that paper had to say. It wasn't my opinion. I was just, stating what the paper had. After that episode came out, I shared some clips like I do on LinkedIn, and the American Cement Association reached out and commented on the post saying, hey, did you know there's an updated version of that report? There's a 2024 version, and they were nice enough to share that with me. I did know there was a 2024 report, and I believe I mentioned that in the episode 126 when I looked at the 2011 report, which, by the way, was updated in 2014. This is probably way confusing. But anyways, so I knew it was there. The reason why I went back and looked at the 2011 report was because it was actually cited in this new report, which is this one here I'm showing on my screen, 2024 report. So I thought it was good to go back and look at that report to find out the an origin of why. It was important because I wanted to know this of the newer report. So anyhow, so here we are, the American Cement Association, formerly known as Portland Cement Association, shared the 2024 report, and I told them I would review it, read it, and here we are. That's where we are today. So let's get started here. Just before I go into what details are in there, just a couple things that stood out to me. First is the 2024 version. We got a couple more authors involved here that were on the 2011 report. And then my favorite thing here, I'm scrolling, sorry. This is my favorite thing in this whole report. But if you scroll to the 5th page of the 101 pages of the report, there's this graph here that shows the blended cement share of total U.S. cement consumption. So we were well less than 10% of the cement used in the U.S. was a blended cement, all the way up to, we could say, according to the graph here, about January, February of 22. And then it's just shoots up. It skyrockets up to nearly 60%. The graph ends at, in this report, in November of 23. So we talk about the drastic change here, and this illustrates it quite well. And just an update, I saw American Cement Association commented or posted saying that it's now, the blended cement use is now up to 65% of U.S. consumption. So it's still increasing. So that's quite a bit of a difference in a very short amount of time. We're talking about less than 4 years. That's why it's such a popular topic, not just in this podcast, but across our industry, because it's definitely changed things up. Like I said, if you listen to our episodes, we've talked about folks that are successful and ones that aren't successful with the new cement. We're trying to highlight why that is. But anyways, in this episode, I want to get into it here, is the differences between the two reports. So we have, roughly 2011. Again, the 2011 version was updated in 2014. This new version is 2024. So we could say about a decade of experience here added to this report, this newer report. So let's compare the two and see what the differences are here. This is the I guess this is what spurred this episode. Here is a comment from American Cement Association posting that, hey, thank you for taking a look at the 2011 report. Just want to let you know there's a 2024 report, and that's why we're here today. So why is this report important? These reports, and I've shared with you, there's a ton of these things. I don't know how many of you all out there actually look, but any kind of paper, research paper, white paper, article, or anything on PLC or blended cements, there's references there that are listed. And this report, the state-of-the-art report, is referenced quite a bit, and that's what caught my eye. Basically, just got curious, wanted to know why this report was referenced, what's in this report, and why is it so important. So, it's basically one of the backbones of the whole PLC adoption in the U.S. So, like I said, it's the 2011 report we talked about. We've updated that. So what's changed since the 2011 report? Let's just get into it. All right. So back in 2011, 2014 report, one of the quotes in there was, no significant risks to durability are expected from the use of up to 15% limestone and cement. Now, when you go into the 2024 report, it says PLC mixtures may show higher carbonation rates and chloride ingress, but these effects can be managed with proper curing and SCM use. So that's quite a bit difference there. Let's talk about admixtures. In the 2011 report, it says PLC concretes can be considered essentially interchangeable with ordinary Portland cements in admixture performance. And in the 2024 report, it says some projects have reported difficulty maintaining consistent air entrainment, particularly when SCMs are also used. Careful admixture control is necessary. So again, things have changed quite a bit from the first report to this updated one. Evidence base, basically where did the 2011 report get most of its data from? So in the 2011 report, it said laboratory and limited field studies are sufficient to confirm that PLC performs similarly to type 1-2 cements. And then if you go to fast forward to the 2024 report, it says with 10 more years of field data, PLC can now be confirmed as reliable across a wider range of conditions. So that's where we got in 10 years. And finally, the rationale of using PLC in 2011 was framed this way. The main benefit of increased limestone is improved efficiency in milling and resource utilization with secondary CO2 benefits. But in 2024, it says PLC is a key solution to reduce carbon emissions and address climate change in the cement sector. CO2 was secondary in the 2011 report. In the 2024 report, it's primary. All right. So you with me so far? All right. Cut through all that. Just a quick refresher on the 2011 report in case you didn't catch episode 126. The 2011 report was all about reassurance. It was heavy on lab studies. There were, believe it or not, 230 references, other books and papers to reference to, but it was limited on the field data. Beat this horse a bunch, but the message was, the same cement you've always used, just with a little more limestone. There's not a whole lot of risk, no problems. Things should go well. And so now if we look at the 2024 report, it's got a lot more to it. For one, there's 493 references in the report. That's quite a bit. It does have more case studies in it, so there's some bridges, pavements, and even some long-term exposure sites, which we'll talk about here a little bit later. Definitely has the 2024 report has a different tone. Here's a quote from the report. PLC is a key solution to reduce carbon emissions and address climate change in the cement sector. So again, hitting on what our priority is here. But there definitely was a shift into admitting there are issues. There's, again, carbonation, chloride ingress, admixture sensitivity. All those things were brought up in the 2024 report. But again, it says these things are controllable or manageable, which is fine. More time, more data. I mean, that's how science works, right? You get more data, can update your findings. Let's talk about the positives beyond CO2. And it not necessarily has to be positives for the concrete contractor or the producer. So one of the lines in the 2024 report, again, citing less clinker production results in lower energy demand during finish grinding, which means real energy savings at the mill, right? Also, in the report, it says in some cases, PLC concretes exhibited improved workability compared to OPC, Portland cement. And what else here? The lower heat of hydration of PLC can be beneficial in mass concrete applications. So they're finding that, in mass concrete, that PLC is it's a good use case for PLC, which makes sense, right? It's reducing the clinker, reducing the heat. So there, I guess the point is there are positives outside the climate argument. Producers save some money. Supposedly you get better slump in the use case of mass concrete. It could help with thermal cracking. So those are things worth pointing out, I believe. We kind of hit on these here. We'll go ahead and jump to these. So there again, you got to kind of pay attention to what they're saying. Obviously, this paper is written to promote the use of PLC, but they do, like in the 2011 report, do caution you. So PLC, one of the things cited here, PLC concretes showed higher carbonation depths than OPC in several studies. It also notes PLC mixes without SCMs showed increased chloride permeability in some cases. And also PLC mixtures exposed to de-icing salt showed greater surface scaling if curing was inadequate. And we've talked about how important curing is and how I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, we talked about, how sensitive PLC mixtures are. So the curing is just that much more important. Also in the 2024 report regarding air mixtures, it says air entrainment performance may vary and requires adjustment. Now, and this is not saying these are failure, but the message is always we can manage this new cement with proper curing, SCM blends, and with our water cement ratios. And then, like I said, that means the PLC is less forgiving. It's more sensitive. When we were using type 1-2, and some of us are still using it out there, you can get away with more, I guess, sloppier methods. With PLC, your margin of error is very small. All right. Like I mentioned before, there's some projects cited in here. So these are, like I said, in the 2011 report, it was more lab studies than anything. But in the 2024 report, we have projects cited. There's bridges, pavements, exposure sites. So let's talk about some of these examples. The first one is the PCA Southeast Exposure Site. I believe the longest project reference says concrete prisms were exposed for over 15 years. The report says PLC concretes exposed at the PCA Southeast Exposure Site performed comparably to Portland cement mixes with respect to strength development and scaling when properly cured. So that's a positive, but these are just test blocks, not highways or bridge decks that are, seeing thousands of cars running across them every day. So but then here's another one. The Utah DOT bridge decks, the report notes that PLC mixes have been in service for about 10 years in bridge construction with good performance so far. That's encouraging, but again, 10 years isn't 50 years, or some of these things are built for 100 years. The next one, the Texas pavements. The report says PLC mixtures have been successfully used in pavement applications for over a decade with no documented durability-related failures to date. Another solid example, but no documented failures doesn't mean there were no problems. It just means nobody's pointed any out. The Canadians had some examples in here as well. The PLC used on bridge structures for about 8 years. In this example, with chloride exposure data being tracked. Then there's several European projects, buildings and pavements. I think that ranged in between 5 to 10 years in service. So the 2024 report does have, it has better examples. It's not just based on lab, results, but we're still, far from seeing how this blended cement performs over a long period of time. I mean, in the scheme of things, when we build things, 15 years isn't really that long. So we got some time to experience these and see how these mixes perform. So where does this leave us? Again, I'm just sharing with you all what's in this report. I don't know how many of us are actually opening these things up. Again, this thing's 100 pages long, beyond maybe some academics out there that actually look at these things, but it's, we're definitely in the report. We're not talking about concrete falling apart. I would feel a little bit better if they actually pointed out some issues. I mean, they do talk about them, but like in the project examples, if they said, hey, this was the issue and this is how it was repaired afterwards or dealt with afterwards, I guess. I think just based on reading the report, that must have occurred because they tell you ways to mitigate some of the issues that we mentioned. So, but what's an improvement is definitely over the 2011 report, 2011 updated in 2014, is that they're actually admitting that there's issues. So we just have to manage the carbonation, the chlorides with, proper curing and managing our admixtures. But I posed this question to somebody this week on LinkedIn. I guess the way to look at this is if CO2 reducing our global warming potential or reducing the CO2 embodied carbon, would we still call the PLC a success or an innovation, or would it just be something that's sitting on the shelf still? That's what I would ask of you all. But anyways, I appreciate you tuning in again. If you haven't, go back and check out episode 126, where we broke down the original report, and I appreciate the American Cement Association for reaching out. Still weird to call them American Cement Association instead of Portland Cement Association, whatever. But yeah, so if anyone's listening and they want to come on the show and talk about this more, I'd be happy to have you on. Want to hear more of these? Let me know. And until next time, let's keep it concrete.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. If you got value from the show, here's how you can provide value back to support the show. Visit concretelogicpodcast.com and click the donate button to send value back. All dollar amounts are truly appreciated. And now, to close out the show, here's Mike Dunton.
That alarm always sings couple hours before the sun comes up. Open up the side, put some diesel in the lights and wait till the trucks roll up. Yeah, this ain't how most folks live their lives, dripping in sweat, working overtime. But while they're tying their ties for their 9 to 5s, we're out here changing these skylines with wood, iron, and mud. We work hard for a dollar, give thanks to the Lord above. Never make a man do something you can't prove. Hard work calls for a drink or two. Expect more, it's written in our blood. With wood, iron, and mud. From the swamps to the city, from the Lone Star heat to the woods of the Georgia pine. Good old boys and girls who ain't afraid of getting dirty for